All right, it's a beautiful day here in Muncie, Indiana. We are at the US National Championships for soaring. This is the 100th anniversary, so it's a great time to be here. The weather is amazing. We're out here flying F3K, which is hand-launched gliders, and you can see one flying behind me right now. They're a little 1.5 meter carbon fiber, usually discus launch, where there's a peg in the wingtip and you spin around and launch it into the air, and then you fly various tasks. So what I'm about to show you guys is the next round we're going to fly, which is round 11, and this is called Task F, and it's 3 of 6. And we have a 3-minute max flight. So we're going to be attempting to fly 3 launches that are 3 minutes each. And we have a 10-minute window in which to do this. So there's about a minute of extra time that you can use to stop and take a look at the air, see what other pilots are doing. So you're not so much in a rush. But this task does allow for a maximum of 6 launches. And you just kind of take your best 3 flights if you end up using more than 3. But ideally, the goal is to fly 3 times, get 3 minutes each. And we'll head and follow around here, and we'll pick a pilot and watch what they do and kind of give you a play-by-play. So here we go. All right, so we're going to be following Joe Doherty here, who's actually on the USA team that's going to the World Championships next month. So going to wish him luck. And he's got a timer here, mentioned, who's also going. And the timer is going to be helping him out, letting him know kind of where the air is, any reads he can see. And we're getting ready to launch here, so here we go. So as you can see, he throws it really high. It's at least a couple hundred feet up into the air. And right now he's just going to be looking for a thermal. So if there's no lift and no sink, then he could probably fly for 3 minutes off of his launch height alone. But when the air becomes more active and the heat from the sun kind of generates some thermals off of the ground, that creates a lot of also sink. So there's some air that is descending faster than going up, and you don't want to get caught in that stuff because you'll have a really short flight. So he's going for 3 minutes here, and it looks like he's caught a decent thermal. And looks like everybody else is kind of going to it. So you find that happens a lot in F3K, where one pilot kind of finds some lift and hooks up, and then others join in.
9 minutes.
Because it's an easy read. You can tell when a plane is climbing in it. The tail lifts, they pick up some energy, it appears. They start circling and climbing. And these have no motors, so the only way to do that is from the thermal lift that's generated by Mother Nature. So it's pretty awesome. It looks like it's going to be an easy first 3, and sometimes you'll find that depending on the conditions, you might get a real easy one, and then the next flight you're struggling and it becomes much more difficult. You have to find a different thermal. It's not very windy today at all, which is really fun, but it also means the thermals are not moving that fast. So once you find one, it's pretty easy to get back into it for a subsequent flight. Yeah, that's some good lift. I don't know how this is coming through on the video, but see if I can back out here. You can see there's the ground. These guys are way up in the sky. This is fun. We can go listen in on some of the conversation that's happening between the timer and the pilot.
We were just lamenting the fact it's not a quick turnaround task. It would be more interesting for you to watch. You want me to do QTs anyway?
You could. Oh, you do you. This is a contest, and it's for the national championship. So do whatever you want.
35 seconds to go. The guy behind you just landed, so.
7:30.
So he's getting some instruction from his timer. He's got about 30 seconds on his first 3, and then he's going to relaunch.
5 seconds. Yes. Okay. 22.
And they're discussing kind of the plan for the next flight, which is something you want to do ahead of time.
16.
And so he's going to count him down to his 3.
13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
7 minutes.
All right, so he made his time, grabs his plane, and back in the air.
Elevator history here. Yeah, it might have gotten stuck on the screw again.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, if that's happening in flight, I need to maybe grab the other plane.
You are the only guy in that direction.
There's a thermal right here, so it should be good.
The air right on your right shoulder is good. It's lifty.
So let's see if we can
About-
pick him up here. There he is. He's going to be looking for another thermal.
Away from us. Right shoulder.
6:30.
Kind of what he mentioned earlier about doing QTs and that being a quick turnaround task is there are some tasks where the flight requires you to fly all the way through the full 10 minutes of window time. And then so you can only score time when the plane is in the air and not in your hand. So if you have to fly 5 2-minute flights, you're going to want to come in, have a good timer counting you in, and you want to grab the plane at like 159.9 and then immediately throw it as fast as you can. So you're only losing basically 1 second between each flight that's not being scored. So you can try to score a 9:56 or a 9:54 to get the best time, and the person who scores the most amount of time gets 1,000 points, and then everyone else's scores are normalized based on the time of the top pilot in that group. It's pretty complicated. There's programs for scoring that really help out and make it easy. So we're just entering all of our scores in digitally. So it makes it pretty simple and fun, but there's a lot of strategy involved for various tasks. It's quite a fun contest format to fly, so it might look boring to some people as you just throw, but you're constantly looking for thermals. You can only throw so high, so you don't get a ton of time to work with. So you better kind of have an idea of where you want to go, where you think the thermal is, and make that. And to do that consistently is pretty tough, and that's what separates the best pilots in the world. But he's going to have about 40 seconds or so left on this 3, and we'll come in and watch him do his turnaround again. And he doesn't have to grab it out of the air and throw it. He can land on the ground as long as you're in bounds, and that still counts, and you can just pick it back up and throw it. He doesn't have to be in a hurry because of the way this round works with an extra minute of air. So here he goes. This is his plane.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
4 minutes.
1. Clear.
There you go. So he got that 3, and he's got 1 more to go.
I'm gonna switch planes, actually.
He's gonna switch planes. He might be having an issue. So we have like 3 minutes and 51 seconds on the timer clock, if you can see that. So he's got about 40 seconds left before he needs to launch to make his last 3. So he's got time to run over, switch planes, get back in here. It's not a problem at all. Only this task or tasks that have some extra time in the window you can do that for, but that doesn't happen on most of them.
26, 25.
So his timer's helping him, counting down the clock so the pilot knows where he's at,
Round 11.
how much time he has to get ready.
Where should I go, do you know?
David Citrinois. Jason
We all
Cole,
heading that way.
John Armstrong.
All the way out there.
Oscar Citrinois. Reed Roberts.
Okay.
Here he goes. Whee! Good launch. Way up there. Right into the sun. Hard to see. All right, so he's on his last flight.
Light, right.
His timer is kind of telling him what everybody else is doing, if they've got any good air to use or not. There's strategy in that too, whether they're in good air or bad air. If they're in good air, you go to them. If they're in bad air, you want to go somewhere else and look.
2:30.
So it looks like he's circling now. He's got him some lift. And looks like this is going to be a pretty easy round for Joe. It's kind of that way today. It's really good conditions, which is somewhat unusual in Muncie.
2:15.
Tend to get a lot of high wind days and some really crazy weather patterns that make it challenging. But I think today it's going to be relatively easy to make your times. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. It does change quite a bit throughout the day, and sometimes the lift will just shut itself off and not work with you anymore. it's all part of the fun and challenge of this sport. It's just a really good time. So if you've never done it before, get yourself a discus launch glider. They're can be had for relatively cheap. You know, $1,000 or less, and sometimes you can find used models that are complete for a lot less. And go ahead and give it a shot. It's a great time.
130.
Yep, he's still making it good. Once he lands, we'll go ahead and get a little synopsis from Joe about his flights and see what he thinks about how it went.
1 minute.
It's interesting because they count their length,
50 seconds to go.
but it's actually, there's pieces of it right here in front that are also good.
50 seconds.
40 seconds to go.
And if you can hear that in the background, we do have a audio system that is announcing all of the times and
30
pilots
seconds.
for their rounds and groups,
30 seconds.
and giving you a countdown of the window clock. So that's really helpful too.
25,
It's kind of a nice way to run the contest.
23, 22,
30 seconds.
21, 20, 19, 18, 17,
All right.
16,
Looks like we
15,
made it.
14,
Whoa, that was
13,
really close.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Clear.
7.
There you go, folks. That was a contest round at the US Soaring Nationals. Good job, Joe.
Made it.
What are your thoughts about your performance here in this round?
Well, it's not too hard yet today. There's no real wind, lots of lift. But on the second flight, when I threw it, which I think is on camera, I don't know if you got the plane, but it had a bunch of down elevator. And so my favorite plane's having either some issues with the elevator or something with the pull string snagging on something. So
7.
fortunately with this test, there's a little buffer time. So I was able to run and grab this model, make sure it worked, and then finish out the round with this. So,
We still got it done, folks. And
yeah.
just like with children, we all have our favorite airplanes. So there you go. All right, congrats, Joe.
Thanks, Jason.
Good luck, buddy. We'll see you next time.